But one thing that is unique about binge eating disorder, which again is the most prevalent eating disorder in America, right? 3% of cases, but is that it shows up in men.
Yeah.
Which anorexia really is a female disorder, not to do a bunch of gender, but it's true. And binge eating disorder doesn't. I mean, it's, of course, like most eating disorders, the majority of cases are in women, in female types, but binge eating disorder is unique. So it does have, and it does present in a lot of men.
Pretty commonly.
And young boys.
Well, this makes sense. I mean, with Jared, by the time he got into high school, he weighed 300 pounds. And so entering, I don't know if any of you guys remember, I feel like everybody who's listening to this is probably like 19, 18, really cool, maybe like a model, just moved to Manhattan.
65.
Or 65 years old.
Shout out to our retirees.
That is true. We do have a cohort of older
Yes.
people.
And some really cool moms out there that we met on the road.
Yeah, I was about to say older gentlemen, but we actually have some nice older ladies who listen to this as well.
Yes.
This podcast is for you because you've had to raise little
all
kids
those
like
MILFs
this.
that Brace met on tour.
No, I'm not a MILF guy, okay?
I know you're not.
I mean, listen, I love every woman, basically. I am every woman, and I love every woman. But I'm not like a MILF guy. I find that's porn brain. I like bimbos. So, he gets into high school. He weighs about 300 motherfucking pounds. Oof. And I got to tell you, entering high school, famously traumatic for many people.
Yeah.
Right? It is, especially if you're sort of, I mean, even for I think popular, good kids or whatever, like normal kids, I think it's pretty tough. It's just this, I mean, everybody's probably been there, so I don't need to explain. But if you weigh 300 pounds, it's, for very obvious reasons, tougher than most people, right? By that time, he was pretty much a social outcast. He even says in his book that he hung out with kind of the goth kids and the weird kids, but they sort of formed these relationships without him. And he sat at their the uncool lunch table or whatever, but everyone was kind of joking around with each other sort of around him, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, I mean, and I'm sorry to be I remember this or this happened to me or whatever. I'm Mr. Anecdote today, but I only went to high school for regular high school for 3 months, but I do remember there was sort of just a fat kid table. And that's sort of just, they were kind of just they were, like I said, in middle school, same kind of thing. There was just high school's bigger, so there's, I guess, more of them. And they were sort of just ostracized. And there was this air of depression kind of around it.
That's heartbreaking.
And it's also it's the age where people, like you said, become sexually active and think of themselves as sexual beings. And to be clear, most kids are pretty much excluded from actually participating in any actual form of that. But especially the fat kids, right? And you're just you're an object of mirth and derision, you know? You're the closest thing to a freak. And kids, as I'm sure many people listening to this know, have a capacity for cruelty that mercifully often disappears when people reach maybe the later part of their teenage years. Although for some people it never disappears.
Yeah,
but
it's funny you saying at the beginning of this episode that this was kind of there was this, at least this moment when we were kids, I feel the teen girl craze, right?
Yeah.
It feels like a big 90s thing. Bullying was also, there was a huge moment and a crazy kind of concern over bullying. And I feel we never really dealt with that.
Yeah. What's funny is, what's funny is that people, you always see people people end up being bring back bullying. It's
no.
Bullying? What do you mean? Just being mean to a fat kid is basically what you're saying,
yeah, or
right?
usually a gay kid too.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe doesn't know he's gay yet.
Yeah, or maybe everyone thinks he's gay because there was a rumor at school that he was gay that was spread by somebody, and he did lie to the vice principal and say that he was gay so that he got out of trouble for a fight on his birthday.
Brace, stop telling stories from your life.
That did happen to me.
I know.
That was a goated lie. I was to be like, yes, I'm gay.
Yeah. Well, you keep that one going.
Yeah, I've been rocking with it ever since, basically, because I am.
You saw it work.
I saw it work on a vice principal. That's like having something work on like a senior murder detective, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm gay. Yeah, well, but I'm gay. So high school is like a tough time for Jared. And I gotta tell you, I am a fucking sap, Liz, because I was reading his autobiography thing, which is almost guaranteed not written by him.
Totally.
It is basically an autobiography put out by Subway sandwiches, right? So like
Subway
Corporation put out this guy's autobiography. But I felt this, it made me feel sad. I'm not going to say I teared up or anything, but I was like, oh man. And this is the autobiography by Subway Corporation of a notorious pedophile.
Yeah. No, I know. I've caught myself several times in the course of reading about Jared and kind of spending time with the material, feeling a lot of empathy and having to kind of like check myself and then double check myself because I was like, Liz, it's okay to feel empathy. Complication is okay. It's fine to be, in, unfamiliar waters.
But here's the thing too, though. I think the reason that we were probably feeling like that is because Subway, Jared's experience that he's describing here, and I think there's a reason for that because obviously he is a marketing tool, he's a human mascot, is a really universal experience for a lot of young kids who for whatever reason, whether they have a disordered relationship to food, whether they have some, like their body just digest, they don't have a good metabolism or whatever, like they're fat, and that. From the beginning of a lot of people's lives who are like that, when they begin to, be somebody in society who is recognized as other people as like a kind of a freak, especially in the context of high school, that can like set the rest of your life. I know people that's happened to. With Jared, what's interesting is it's hard, and like we said, actual, real, concrete, non-food related autobiographical details are scant on Jared, which is in itself interesting too, because even though he became known, and the only reason he is ever known or would ever be known is because he lost that weight. Well, I guess not the only reason, because he could potentially have been caught as a pedophile in some kind of other way. But like the only reason he ever rocketed to prominence is because he stopped being fat. Food in that way, his disordered relationship to food still ran every second of his life, aside from the ones dedicated to being a pedophile. But even coexisted with those to this day, right? And so that's like sort of, it's interesting because like, even though he lost all of that weight, spoiler alert, he still, it's just like, God, it is a fucking tragedy. So,
well, it seems like in a lot of ways and I don't blame him, I guess, but it seems like what he tries to do in these biographies and in these interviews is basically, and like up until, spoiler alert, pretty recently, what he tries to do is kind of just like get rid of whoever Jared Fogle was before he was Subway Jared just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And it just seems like he's like doesn't want that person to exist because that was Fat Jared, and Fat Jared is not a person to him.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that's the end of the extended preview. But to hear more, you can go check us out at patreon.com/TrueAnonPod, where, Brace, what do we have? We have this new thing.
We have and I'm going to try to do this off the dome because Young Chomsky kind of trailed off before he finished giving us directions about exactly how we're supposed to do this. But you can sign up for a 7-day free trial. That is free trial. That means that you don't have to pay a motherfucking cent. Just like if the freaking Netflix or HBO or what, I assume those also do that.
It's Max now.
Trial. Well, okay, I don't care. Well, Discovery Plus.
They really ruined the app, by the way.
Anyways, you can sign up for the TrueAnon Patreon for free for 1 week. In that week, you can listen to every single Patreon episode we ever did and are currently doing. However, after that week ends, just like Discovery Plus, we are counting on you forgetting that you signed up for the free trial. So, and you will be charged after that. But we're basically saying it's like a 7-day free trial like any other free trial.
Yeah.
But you got to put in your credit card information, all that stuff. But you do get 7 days free if you're, it's a memory test.
Yeah, you could try us out.
I love you.
Could you please give us your name? Jared Fogle. Could you please give us your name? Jared Fogle. Could you please give us your name? Jared Fogle. Could you please give us your name? Jared Fogle. Your name. Jared Fogle. Jared Fogle.